Okay, so I wanted to develop a way to gauge, ideally as real time as possible. Best I could do is 3 days, so we're going to have a 3-day lag time here. But I wanted to gauge, have a graph that I could go look at and have an idea if investment in physical bullion was increasing, decreasing, how it was compared to 6 months ago, how it was compared to a year ago, and what the trend was. Are we going up? Are we going down? So I'm going to go ahead and post a link up here in the more info blue up there on the top, and what it's going to do is it's going to take you to a graph, and the graph is going to represent the number of individuals who are purchasing, potential purchasers of bullion. And now whether they're buying gold or silver, I'm not going to be able to tell you, but I can tell you for sure that the number of ounces purchased of silver are going to be larger than the number of ounces of gold. Okay, I can pretty much say that and be positive on that. But you can take a look at the graph. Again, what it's measuring is it's measuring the number of people that visit the website apmex. I chose that site in particular because they focus on physical sales as opposed to a Monex or a Fidelity brokerage or one of those places, or Morgan Stanley or something like that, where they're going to sell silver certificates basically. And I don't think that would give us any kind of gauges if the actual inventory of above ground silver is moving into the hands of physical owners. So again, there are a couple things you need to look at here. When you go to the graph down at the bottom, there's a couple of other boxes that allow you to type in different domains so that you can measure the traffic to them. And I like to do that, and I think it's imperative to do it actually, because you need to have a baseline to compare the apmex graph line to. So I would use the apmex, amex.com, and nyse.com, those two. If you had investors that were showing up, interested in either one of those, you could see where the trends were going. And if the apmex got a lot higher than those two as far as reach went, again, you can, on that graph, reach means how many people there are actually seeing it compared to how many people are online total. And rank will let you know how the site compares based on a number of statistics, not just reach, but a couple of other things. And it'll let us know basically if people are rushing into physical bullion. And you can even see on the graph the days when the Dow had its terrible times. You can see the uptick in the apmex stats. It's it's right there, plain as day. So again, there's also something else you need when you put in those other three sites, because you won't be able to see a couple of things. The graph's not going to tell you if apmex ran a huge advertising campaign and that was the reason for their spike. So you'll have to keep your eyes open for that. You'd have to do a little more researching. If you saw that, saw a huge spike, you'd have to go start looking online and see, did they do a big ad campaign? Have you seen them on television? Something like that. And the other thing is that the internet has its own cyclical trends as far as traffic goes, and every commodity has a different trend to it. So until you've seen a whole year or 2 years, you're not going to be able to see if there's if that just happens to be a spike in interest in investments in general, or online traffic in general. There's times when the graphs, and that's the way you use those baselines. If all three graphs have a spike, discount it. That's a that's a normal upswing and has doesn't have really any bearing on if you were thinking a lot of people were buying more silver or gold. It's not necessarily true if all three of those graphs go up. But if the apmex graph goes up and the NYSE and the AMEX graph stay low, then you're pretty positive that there's some kind of trend developing there. And again, so I think that this will allow us to have a real-time, as close to real-time as we can get, graph of investor confidence and movement into physical metals. Could be helpful.